church is called an open ordinance. That's just fancy talk for you don't have to be a member to partake with us. Your membership here is irrelevant when it comes to partaking of the Lord's Supper, which is symbolism, an act of remembrance on Jesus' sacrifice. Membership is insignificant. What's important is that you have an intimate and passionate relationship with Jesus. If you have an intimate and passionate relationship with Jesus, we want you to remember with us. If you're a member in good standing of this church for 300 years and you do not have an intimate and passionate relationship with Jesus Christ, do not partake of the Lord's Supper with us. The act of letting the elements pass you by is an expression of great strength, spiritual maturity, and insight to say, I'm not ready at the moment to do this, rather than to go through the motions as if it's something that should go through the motions with. The Lord's Supper, there's nothing magical about it. There's no super spiritual thing. It's symbolism. It's an act of remembering Jesus dying on the cross so that you and I could have our sins forgiven. It's an act of remembrance. The bread is his broken body. The grape juice is his shed blood. So it's all about Jesus' death to make you and I clean. We often read from 1 Corinthians chapter 11 for the Lord's Supper, and we will do that this morning. But we often stop short of the punch of the paragraph in 1 Corinthians chapter 11 about the Lord's Supper. I'm going to just jump to the punch, and then we'll partake. It gives us the atmosphere and the attitude that needs to be prevalent in all of us as we do this. So let me read 1 Corinthians chapter 11, starting with 26. 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 26 and forward. For as often as you eat this bread and drink the cup, you proclaim the Lord's death until he comes. Therefore, whoever eats the bread or drinks the cup of the Lord in an unworthy manner shall be guilty of the body and blood of the Lord. But a man must examine himself, and in so doing he is to eat of the bread and drink of the cup. For he who eats and drinks judgment to himself if he does not judge the body rightly. Right? Ouch. We skip that part, don't we? So before we jump in, let's have a moment of silent prayer for us to do what Paul says and examine ourselves, confess our sins to the Lord, express a private prayer of thanksgiving for his death that makes our forgiveness possible. And then we will, in an act of group intimacy, partake of the Lord's Supper together. Let's have that moment of silence. Pray as you will, silently.